What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Milam was still out of control, and I hadn't the faintest idea of how to subdue her.
If only someone could hold Milam off for a moment, the Regalia Dominion might be able to stop her.
On a personal level, I wasn't thrilled with the idea, but in the worst-case scenario, it couldn't be avoided. Still, it was a problem that no one was available to stop her. Just negating Feldway's command had drained Benimaru to the point of collapse. Even if I asked him to repeat the feat, it would be impossible until he fully recovered. In fact, judging by the current situation, it felt as though the attacker was actively adjusting their moves in response to ours. Even with the upper hand, I hadn't expected such a one-sided approach. I needed to find a way to launch a counterattack, but while it might seem like I had time to strategize, the truth was that Milam's relentless assault left me no breathing room. Luring her here had made me the primary target of her wrath. Dealing with Feldway was out of the question. I was focused solely on deflecting Milam's attacks while moving toward Heaven's Tower. At last, it came into sight. Heaven's Tower was sturdy enough to endure Milam's destructive power. Once inside, I thought I might catch a moment to regroup. Unfortunately, the worse a premonition felt, the more likely it was to come true.
I have been waiting for you, Demon Lord Rimuru.
As I struggled against Milam, a sinister voice echoed from above. Feldway, with his malevolent presence, descended from the sky to confront me.
Damn it, this was your plan all along.
I clicked my tongue in frustration, but it was too late to change course. Before I could decide on my next move, Seal-san's urgent voice cut through my thoughts.
Leave this place immediately.
The gravity of the situation was clear. It was an emergency. When Seal-san said, "Withdraw," it wasn't a suggestion, it was a command to escape. Yet, as much as I wanted to comply, I couldn't. I was still facing Milam. This was precisely what Feldway had orchestrated, the worst possible scenario. The only reason I wasn't panicking was that I could already predict Feldway's next step. And then it came.
Now, Milam, follow me once again, Regalia Dominion.
There it was. Without hesitation, Feldway executed the move I had dreaded. Milam's strength ebbed away. Judging by her state, it was clear that Feldway had seized control of her once more. While it was a relief that her rampage had ceased, I knew the consequences would soon turn against me. This, without a doubt, was what they call checkmate. If I had to face both Feldway and Milam, my chances of victory were non-existent.
Stop with the cowardly tactics already.
I didn't care if I sounded like a sore loser, I needed to vent. Feldway, however, only looked down at me with a smug grin.
How pitiful, Demon Lord Rimuru. You are in my way, so I will kindly ask you to vanish now.
His laughter wasn't mockery, it felt more like he acknowledged my presence as a threat. Feldway, having gained control of Milam, could have easily overpowered me in a 2-on-1 fight. Strangely, though, he didn't take that route.
Disappear into the void of eternity. Chronosaltation.
I recognized the attack immediately. It was the same devastating technique that had erased Velgrin-san from existence not long ago. My consciousness faded as I was swept away by Feldway's manipulation of space and time, flung into an unfamiliar dimension where the past, present, and future blended into uncertainty.
Volume 21 Prologue, A Moment of Choice.
The monsters trembled in fear. They understood that Rimuru was their last glimmer of hope. The news sent chills coursing through the leadership of Tempest. Benimaru regained consciousness on a bed in the infirmary located within the labyrinth's recreation facility, where Soy had brought him. It hadn't been long since the Sacred Tree's siege had ended. A profound sense of despair jolted him upright. The same overwhelming feeling consumed Gabble and Geld, who were resting on adjacent beds. Almost as if synchronized, the three of them woke simultaneously. The top leaders convened in the labyrinth's designated control room. Among them were 8 of the 12 guardians of the labyrinth: Diablo, Zijin, and Kumara, tasked with safeguarding the labyrinth, Benimaru, Gabble, and Geld, Ranga, who emerged from Gopta's shadow after tending to his injuries, and Testarossa, who had rushed back urgently from the kingdom of Ingratia. Driven by a profound sense of duty, Testarossa delegated her responsibilities to her subordinates and hurried to join the meeting, underscoring the critical nature of the situation. Naturally, Shuna, Rigard, and the other key political figures, along with Gopta, Apito, and others, were also present. With the exception of those actively engaged in combat, everyone capable of attending had assembled. Ramirez, who now presided over the control room, was left breathless by the report. The labyrinth was under siege by enemy forces. However, the information she had just received far outweighed the urgency of the attack. Ramirez struggled to believe what she was hearing. Beretta and Trainee, though silent, were visibly unsettled. Even Cherries, who had sent Veldora to stay home for his safety, could not keep his usual composure. The report came from Soy, who had been closely monitoring events through his clone. His revelation left the room in stunned silence. Soy informed them that Rimuru had vanished.
Are you saying that Rimuru-sama has truly disappeared?
Benimaru voiced the question on behalf of the group, though it was clear he trusted Soi's account. Contrary to what he wanted to believe, Benimaru could feel the bond with Rimuru within him had vanished. That was why he needed Soy to contradict his fears.
Yeah, I'm certain of it. There was no way for me to intervene as part of the escort.
Soy admitted, his voice heavy with regret. Yet, no one voiced any objections. Soi's report painted a clear picture. The outcome would have been the same regardless of who had been present. Even Rimuru, who everyone relied on, had been effortlessly captured by their adversaries. Now was the moment to devise a plan, not to dwell on grievances or fault Rimuru for the events that had unfolded. An oppressive silence enveloped the control room, broken abruptly by the deafening crash of a desk shattering.
This happened while I was right there with him.
Soy, known for his composure and unflinching demeanor, had let his fury explode, smashing the desk in a rare display of anger. Testarossa closed her eyes, silently acknowledging Soi's sentiments. It was an understandable reaction.
I wasn't able to do anything either.
The weight of guilt bore down on her as she reflected on her decision to send Rimuru, someone she deeply admired and respected, into battle. She couldn't bring herself to counter Soi's words, nor could she offer him comfort. Instead, she wrestled with her own sense of powerlessness, a sentiment shared by everyone in the room. Then Diablo stepped forward with a sharp retort.
Don't flatter yourself, Soy. All you're doing is paving the way for another pointless death.
His piercing gaze and icy tone were enough to cut through Soi's turmoil like a blade. Diablo's words, though harsh, carried an undeniable truth. Soy recognized this and stood in subdued silence, unable to argue back. He felt the crushing weight of his perceived failure and the void left by Rimuru's absence. Diablo, seemingly unbothered, let out a long sigh.
You're stepping over the line, Diablo.
Testarossa interjected firmly. Exhaling deeply, she continued.
Anyone here would have been powerless against Milim-sama's rage. Would it have been any different for you, Diablo?
Her gaze bore into him with disbelief. She was astute enough to grasp Diablo's intent. By adopting the role of the villain, he was deliberately trying to ignite a fire within those present. To overcome despair, one must first confront and channel their emotions. Succumbing to sorrow alone leads to destruction, for despair consumes those who do nothing but grieve. The will to survive often springs from igniting one's anger. Diablo understood this truth all too well. Testarossa did as well, which is why she could discern his intentions and trace them to their conclusion. Yet, it was precisely this understanding that Testarossa found intolerable.
Diablo, are you planning to stir everyone's fury here, only to get yourself cast out? And after that, challenge Feldway on your own?
Testarossa demanded bluntly.
No.
Diablo's thoughts churned in irritation.
This is exactly why I dislike this woman.
Having known her for ages, he realized there was nothing he could conceal from her. Outwardly, he appeared composed, but inwardly, he was unraveling.
Why, Rimuru-sama, why didn't you take me with you?
His grief threatened to consume him, and he was barely holding it at bay. Testarossa perceived Diablo's inner turmoil with precision. Thus, she lashed out with sharp, unforgiving words.
I heard you made a spectacle of yourself in front of Rimuru-sama.
What did you say?
You froze in place because of a time spell, didn't you? How disappointing.
Hearing this, Diablo retorted with an icy tone.
And what about you? Didn't you let a mere weakling slip past you?
Diablo's laughter carried no warmth. His gaze, devoid of amusement, was cold and deadly, aimed squarely at Testarossa. The tension in the control room thickened. A heavy silence fell, laced with sorrow and despair. Geld and Gabble, still recovering from their wounds, looked puzzled and kept their silence. Kumara was pale and trembling. Benimaru's fists were clenched tightly as he fought to suppress his rising fury. Ramirez, overwhelmed with emotion, had buried her face and was on the verge of tears. Rimuru had always been their pillar in times of crisis. But now, Rimuru was gone. In a way, it was a relief that Shion, who was known for her fiery temper, was not present to witness this moment. Otherwise, we cannot ignore the possibility that Shion's impulsive words or actions might have led us all down a disastrous path, one where we were crushed by the enemy. But that remains only a possibility. Among those in the room, there was still one figure who remained unshaken. Breaking the heavy silence that hung in the air, Zijin finally moved. Uncrossing his arms, he stood up with purpose.
Ridiculous. Why are you all so troubled? Does it truly matter that Rimuru-sama has vanished?
He declared with a solemn tone. Zijin's resolve was unyielding. His words seemed to challenge the growing unease of everyone present. His demeanor made it clear that he held an unwavering belief that Rimuru's existence could never be extinguished.
If Rimuru-sama is indeed our lord, then even the boundaries of time and space will not prevent his return. And if he does not return, there must be a greater reason behind it.
Zijin stated with absolute certainty. His bold proclamation rekindled a spark of hope in everyone's hearts. It was exactly what they needed to hear. Taking in the renewed energy among them, Zijin continued.
Childish. Are we no more than helpless children abandoned by their parent? Reflect deeply and feel it. Rimuru-sama's blessing still resides with us.
Zijin's words flowed effortlessly, backed by unshakable conviction. His steadfastness was like a gust of wind, sweeping away the shadows of doubt from the room. Testarossa found herself moved by Zijin's confidence. Her spirits lifted, and before she realized it, a faint smile graced her lips. She wasn't the only one affected. Everyone present began to see the truth in Zijin's assertions. The connection between their souls and Rimuru might have been severed, but this didn't equate to Rimuru's disappearance. There was still a subtle, comforting warmth enveloping them, a presence that couldn't be dismissed. Was this warmth merely a lingering trace, or something more? Zijin's calm voice seemed to echo their unspoken thoughts. The connection may have been interrupted, but Rimuru's blessing remained intact. Some had already sensed this but dismissed it as mere wishful thinking. They believed it was better to expect nothing than to be misled by false hope.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Nissa L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Kirisoto-sama, JV, Thomas, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy 98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Sky T, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Akshay Devate, Elvin Quarty, Ian Sikibiol, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Joshua Wolf. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.